Hi everybody, it's Julia, your trusted travel expert, helping you find that je ne sais quoi wherever you are in the world. And today I am talking about a topic that I don't ever talk about really, and that is ocean cruising. I'm going to give you, I just came off of an ocean cruise, the first one I'd done in at least 15 years, if not longer. And so I'm going to give you sort of the pros and the cons. And I'm going to start with the cons, and I'm going to start with a few of the sort of cons that I was really expecting and really dreading that weren't a problem. So I'm going to sort of dispel some myths for you. And then obviously it's better to finish off with the positive. So first off, some of the cons that I was really worried about, because I went on the Celebrity Summit, which is one of Celebrity's older ships, but has been revolutionized. They've completely redone it, and it was really nice looking. But it is it's a mid-sized ship with about 2,000-ish people on board. I say mid-size because to me that still sounds absurdly huge. I'm much more of the let's keep it in the 100 or smaller range. But so one of the things I was most worried about is sort of feeling like you're with a bajillion people in a very small space. And luckily I didn't have that at all. There were certain times that it felt a little crowded, especially like the first day right at noon at lunch when everybody showed up at the buffet at the same time. That was a little bit like too much. But this was a little bit of an odd sailing because I was in a group of about 100-ish people participating in a conference, and then Celebrity was actually having their global sales conference. So they had another chunk, I don't know how many, of people on board. And it was 3 days at sea before we got to the islands leaving New York. So it was a little bit of a strange mix of people, not your typical just regular tourist sailing. But I really didn't have that many crowds, both on the ship and off the ship. They do a really good job on board of having lots of different places and restaurants and bars and stuff for you to go and meet and mingle. So if you don't like the scene or the music that's going on in one lounge, there's another one either next door or upstairs, or lots of other choices for you to go find your own little quiet space. Like I know I really got to really enjoy the wine cellar. I forget what it was called. Something with cellars on board because it was quieter. The only music they had was like, a guitarist singing acoustic, that kind of a thing. But there was a sunset bar. I mean, there was a martini bar. In fact, one night I was trying to find some of the other, people from my group, and I couldn't find them because it's just a big ship. So the crowds disperse. Now, the onboarding and offboarding thing was another issue I was really worried about with crowds. And I don't know if we were just lucky or what, but when we got on the ship, there was no problems. When we got on and off for shore excursions in the islands, that was not really a problem at all. Just walked off, walked on, basically. We were lucky because we were the only ship in port every time we docked. So that might have helped with that, but it wasn't this sort of mass exodus, of 2,000 people trying to get off at once. And so that was a sort of big con that I was really worried about that didn't come to fruition, thankfully. Another thing I was worried about was the dining. Because we were in a group, we made reservations for the later seating in the main restaurant. And because there were different groups on board, or because I didn't know what I was doing, I didn't make reservations for any of the specialty dinings. So when I realized when I got on board, I couldn't really make any of those because they were already full. I was like, oh, we're going to eat in the main dining room every night. Oh, God. It was fine. It was more than fine. The food was really impressive. Considering how many people they have to feed, at once, the food is really impressive. There was a variety each night. They have some staples that they always have. Caesar salad, escargot. I forget what the other standards were because there were so many interesting, varied choices every night that I didn't actually go with the standards, I don't think, ever. Same thing with like your main courses. They had featured dishes and new dishes, but they had, your typical steak or whatever it is if you wanted that. And it was really good. I did get to try some special things. Somehow we made it off the wait list to do the chef's table experience, which this is specific to Celebrity, and you meet with the head chef and you go through a tour of the galley, and then you get a big tasting menu, and it was really pretty spectacular. I would not say it's quite Michelin level dining, but pretty close and really pretty darn good. Really tasty, flavorful food. Even the buffet, like I said, the one day that I went there for lunch, it was a little bit crazy and busy. There's a bajillion choices. It was not my favorite, but there was plenty of things to eat. And once I found the good things to eat, then it was even better. So just the dining in general. Breakfast was a big buffet. Again, lots of different choices, lots of different, make your own eggs, freshly made pastries. I watched them in the galley one night rolling the croissants for the next morning. And believe me, the pastry guy went around with a big pile of pastries every morning, and it was super good. Okay, so those were some of the big cons I was worried about that ended up being fine. Now, some of the things that is just a fact of life of cruising, and you either love it or you hate it or you don't mind it, you deal with it. The size of the rooms. Now, we had a nice room with a balcony. I will never, ever do a non-balcony on a cruise, ever. It's just pointless in my mind. And it was nice. It had 2 little single beds, a couch, a desk, TV, closet, all that good jazz. And then the bathroom is small, but it had what you needed and had actually pretty good storage. They actually really had good storage, I felt like. The rooms are going to be small, and you just know that. If you really are stressed about that, then go for a suite. They do have great big suites now on pretty much every ship. Another thing that I was worried about that, it is what it is on the cruise ship, and that's the sort of onboard experience, what you're doing at night, after dinner, or before dinner with sailing. They of course have Broadway shows, Broadway style shows that are of middling quality, depending on what it is. They usually always have a casino. So if you're into gambling, you can do that. They have shops with some very, very beautiful jewelry and lots of fancy things to buy. They have an art gallery. So if you are into art, there was like a Picasso on board and all kinds of crazy art. But mostly it's drinking. Let's be honest, it's drinking. Other than those few things, it's all lounges and bars. And they almost all had some variety of music going on. And I know on this ship, their sort of top deck lounge turned into like a nightclub at night. Sometimes a silent disco. So lots of different options, but it is a lot of eating and drinking. And so if you aren't really a big fan of that or don't really care about eating and drinking, you might not really like it. The other thing that is just the name of the game with cruising is how much time you have to go on shore. And this is something that's really important in qualifying what cruise line you want to go on or what cruise you want to take. Because, if you get to port at 10 a.m. and then you got to leave at 4, you really basically have time to go in and have lunch and come back, because they want you on board. So, you don't want to cut the getting back on board short, because that ship will leave you. So, you have to be back on board in, an hour or something, or you want to plan to be back on board an hour or something before, the all aboard time, just to be safe. And, and so luckily in our case, we were on at shore, from basically 8 a.m. to 5 or 6 p.m. every day. So we did have plenty of time. But these were also, I was visiting islands where there's not necessarily a ton of things that you want to do. You kind of want to drive around it, see a couple beautiful beaches, spend some time on the beach, maybe wander around town, shop, do little, things like that. But you can get that done kind of in a day. This is not finding a je ne sais quoi necessarily. You're never going to find that in just sort of a day, in a city necessarily. But this is one of the biggest pet peeves I have about cruises in Europe overall, because, you stop in a city like Barcelona, and if you only have 6 hours in Barcelona, that's just ridiculous. Or even worse is Rome, because the port is a good hour and a half outside of Rome, and people go into Rome and they cram it all in a day. So I'm still not a fan of that. So that's a con that just is, to me, a con with cruising that you're going to have. But here's the thing about cruising. Let's shift to the pros, that no matter what kind of travel you like, they're going to be pretty nice. It is a very easy way of traveling. It is super convenient. You unpack, you get on board, you unpack, and then you go and see lots of different places depending on, where it is that you're cruising and how you're cruising. But it is a very easy way to see a lot of different places. In certain parts of the world, it's the only way to see those places. If you're talking like the Arctic or Antarctica. those are some expedition cruises I feel like are in a different category, but that is spectacular. But also, I mean, really the islands, the Caribbean islands, it's a great way to see a lot of different islands, and you do get enough of a feel and a flair for it. And it's super easy. It's also super easy because everything is there at your fingertips. One thing, I forgot to say this. One thing that really bothers me about sort of mass market cruises is that there are all these different packages, and you can include your gratuities or your Wi-Fi or the fancy drink package or not, and sometimes this meal costs extra but the regular dining room doesn't. I hate all that. I wish it was just sort of you get on board and you get everything like it is with river cruising. That it just drives me crazy that it's always, you grab a bottle of water because that's another thing that's annoying. They don't have water everywhere, which they should, because I had a refillable bottle and it was like I had to bring it to the buffet to get it refilled, which is annoying. But even if you just grab a bottle of water, which was included in my drink package, they have to run my card and make sure that I paid for it. That's one of the annoying things. But again, back to the pros. It is very easy. It is very convenient. It's a good way to see a lot of different places at once. And to be honest, going back to my whole get a balcony, there's just nothing more romantic and more spectacular than just sitting on your balcony, maybe with a frosty beverage, maybe not, and just watching the ocean go by. I mean, especially if you're at sea and you can't see land anywhere. I mean, I saw whales breaching. I mean, I was on my way down the Caribbean, and how on earth were there whales? This was not like an Alaska sailing where you're expecting to see them. These were these little skinny black whales that were breaching just as we sailed by them. It was crazy. When we were sailing down the East Coast, so we were still pretty close to land, I guess, because one day there was a falcon or a hawk or, I don't know, a big, gorgeous bird of prey that was perched on a railing down at the end of the ship for an hour or two. And he was just beautiful. He was resting, chilling out, looking for his, next snack. So you are out in nature and just watching the ocean, just those continual waves as far as you can see. It is spectacular, and the sound of it and lapping, it's just there. It's a really romantic, really sexy, cool thing about cruising that you can't deny, in my opinion. So, am I a born again cruiser? No. I'm probably not really looking forward to those big 5,000 person ships with the water slides and rides and stuff like that. Because I'm more about the destinations. So it's always going to be my secondary choice for most travel, except for in certain destinations, like I said. But it's not bad. It's very valid, and can be a really relaxing, easy trip, especially if you've got a big group of people with a lot of different interests. So I will end it now because I've been talking a while, but that's it for this week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.